one of the best tool of building a very solid relationship are grievances, right? I'm sure many of you would have heard this statement. ये हमारा मूवीज में काफी आता है, बहुत जगह आता है कि सबसे अच्छे दोस्त दोस्त कई बार वो होते हैं जो कभी किसी टाइम पे जानी दुश्मन थे. Now let me show you what is a sample feedback you may or may not receive. All right. Friends, one thing you have to be very clear is when you are going out and asking for a feedback, be ready for anything. So when I say anything, you may not get a feedback, right? You may not get a positive feedback. You may get a mixed feedback, or you may get a feedback which you think is not correct, or you can also get a feedback which is impossible to execute. So here, see, as I'm sure all of you have heard Peter Drucker's statement that what gets measured gets managed. Now, when it comes to how of doing it, these are some of the things which we can do. This is very simple. See, none of whatever I'm going to discuss with you, none of it is rocket science. No, none of it might be exciting, but these are simple, boring things one has to do day in, day out to build their business. Right now, it's very simple. What you can do as far as your checking your client expectation, I'm sorry, getting the feedback in the survey done, just simply ask for their opinions, and that is how slowly you can track how happy and loyal the clients are. See, what happens is, I heard one very interesting thing from a very successful distributor, that client will redeem the relationship before he redeems the funds, or before he switches the funds, or before he switches the portfolio, he will switch out the relationship. Now, many times we will get to know from the transaction, but before the transaction, if you want to find out how satisfied your clients are with you, this is the way to go ahead and do that. So if you want to manage the problem before it results in the loss of business, this is what one can do. I'd like to give an example from my experience only, and it's a live example of how things which we don't expect are sometimes the small things you don't expect make a big difference. So a couple of years ago, we had a mutual fund partner who came to us, and he so once our CEO national head was in town, and they said, "This is so I have increased my allocation to your company by a bit more percentage." Uh, for certain reason, he did not tell the reason. He asked that person, "Why do you think I am giving you more business than a certain allocation which I think is right for you?" Now, the answer he gave was that, and actually, I was there. I was also surprised because he never told us, right? The answer he gave was, because you are the only people who, when I walk into your office in last 1 year, it has never been a situation where you have not asked me for a water, right? I was zapped when I heard this feedback, that you are the only people who are looking at into smaller things. See, so my point is not to bring the small thing. The point is to bring the feedback mechanism. We never had that system. We never had that feedback system in place, so we did not really understood. Right? It was a pleasant surprise for the branch. But the point I'm trying to make is the only way to understand some of these minor things is by having a forward looking or a proactive feedback mechanism, right? Why one should really do it. Now, technically speaking, if I have to break it down into what it really means for a business, is building, first of all, building relationships. The moment person knows that you are going to them not for business but for understanding how you can improve your offering, it automatically builds in your relationship. Now, these are a lot of these things when we are maybe starting the business, or maybe we think we are individual, we think we're not needed, but that is the difference between a large corporate and that's the difference between being professional and not being professional. You will find lot of large companies, lot of large distributors where the team members are not that professional, and I have seen lot of high face, lot of individuals being super professional in what they do. So here, these are what simple. Just 1 second. Yeah. So these are some of the things which happen when you. These are the reasons why one should get into client feedback and client satisfaction surveys. It's all about preparation. So again, something which is very often, panic is not required if you are prepared. So if you are prepared, okay, I might get these 5 kind of feedback. What I am going to respond to is something which you have to think before you even start the exercise of collecting feedbacks, right? So as I said, be ready for a feedback which you just don't expect. It can be a great one, it can be a very nasty one, but uh, but please understand, even if you may get a very nasty feedback, but that feedback is not on an individual level. That feedback is probably has to do with something to do might be to do with environment, might be to do with specific situation. One is, and it could be a genuine feedback for us to really improve. Grievance. What is a grievance? When the customer is actually coming out to you, right? That is what a grievance is. The customer is coming out to you for certain issues. It could be related to NAV. It could be related to almost anything, right? It could almost be related to that you came that why didn't you call me at 10 o'clock? Why did you not let me? Why I did not got the NAV? I mean, the grievance can come in all forms and shapes, right? One of the best tool of building a very solid relationship are grievances, right? I'm sure many of you would have heard this statement. ये हमारा मूवीज में काफी आता है, बहुत जगह आता है कि सबसे अच्छे दोस्त कई बार वो होते हैं जो कभी किसी टाइम पे जाने दुश्मन थे. प्रॉब्लम से बहुत बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी क्रिएट होती है. ग्रेवियंस आर not easy to handle. I understand that. Sometimes the grievance can be genuine, it can be a problematic. Sometimes the grievance cannot be in your control, right? काफी चीज होंगी जो आपके हाथ में नहीं होंगी. कभी एम्स को सॉल्व करना है, आप यदि किसी प्लेटफॉर्म के साथ में काम करते हैं, उनको सॉल्व करना है. कैंप्स का है, कार्बी का है, मार्केट का है, सेबी का है. Just many things are not going to be under control, right? So what we do, so I think one of the things which we discussed about initially is to be a professional, have system and process in place, is to have a proper grievance redressal policy in place and share that with your client. क्लाइंट को लगना चाहिए कि यार ये मेरे पास में बिजनेस लेने आ रहा है, अच्छी बात है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. म्यूचुअल फंड कर रहा है, एसआईपी कर रहा है, इंश्योरेंस कर रहा है, गोल प्लानिंग चल रही है, फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग चल रही है, ग्रेट. बट एट द सेम पॉइंट इन टाइम ही एक्टिवली टेलिंग मी कि सर इफ देयर इज एनी प्रॉब्लम इन फ्यूचर, we have a grievance redressal policy which probably looks like this, right? Or and this is what our grievance policy is meant to do. जब when I'm closing a sale today, when I'm having a discussion with the client today I should go and tell them कि sir, tomorrow if you have any problem, this is our redressal policy. Now I know most people come and tell me sir अच्छी मैं हूं ना, मैं देख लूंगा. मुझे आप रात में 2 बजे फोन करोगे तो भी रिप्लाई करूंगा, राइट? हमको ये लगता है कि ये बहुत अच्छी बात है, बुरी बात नहीं है, right? However, that is not professional, because that is not sustainable, that is not repeatable. I am sure none of us want our clients to call us at 2 o'clock in the night, and sometimes if they call, most of the time we are not going to even respond. So what it means is we should have a proper policy. When I say policy, I'm not talking about a 20-page document. Just give one page, आधा पेज, 4 लाइनों का पॉलिसी आप क्लाइंट को दीजिए कि सर यदि कल को आपको ग्रेवेंस होता है, ये हमारा नंबर है. आपका नंबर हो सकता है, आपका ईमेल आईडी हो सकता है, इट कैन बी योर व्हाट्सएप आईडी, वॉट आर वर्किंग. दिस इज आवर contact point for any grievance. You can reach out to me. See, the way if you see professionals work, right? They will not say that मैं हूं ना. Our policy is to get back to you within 1 hour or within 4 hours. So within half an hour, I'm going to communicate to you. I'm going to acknowledge your query. Within 24 hours, I'm going to come you with a resolution. And if you don't have a resolution within 24 hours, I will come back to you with the update.
As you told that we have to meet the client even when they don't need any business, or your unhappy clients might be the greatest source of learning. So with this particular thing, what are the best ways to handle negative feedback constructively? Any inputs from your side? How can we improve that negative into positive?
Correct. So I think so great point, Rajesh bhai. And I think the way I will talk about it is, first of all, I would like to make it very objective or very very unemotional, right? So first of all, every feedback is a feedback. We would rather start with removing the word positive, good feedback, positive, negative from it, first of all, right? So the first thing I would like to do is just remove the emotion from the feedback, right? So if somebody is telling me आपने time पे नहीं आया, अच्छा नहीं किया, वो नहीं किया, I will try to remove the emotion from it and try to understand the objective of it, right? Because sometimes what people are see, when people write, they write with emotion. I have to first remove the emotion and go to what is real, what is the reality in that, right? Now, so that is number one. First of all, I should never ever take anything personally, no matter how good. Frankly, I'm saying we should not even take good feedback very positively, right? Because I can. The reason I'm saying is sometimes people tell us, "Sir, आपने मुझे फंड बताया था, बहुत अच्छा चल गया." अरे भाई, मेरे चलने से थोड़ा चला है. The fund has done well because of fund manager and because of the market. It's not because of me. So if I'm willing to give the credit to environment for positive, I should also not worry too much about negative emotion as such, right? So that is number one, not worrying about the emotion in this. Then negative feedback, I probably have to see the feedback is because of something which is in my control or something which is not in my control, right? If the person is saying you got late or you did not inform me on time, right? Then it is something which I really have to think through, right? If somebody is saying the markets are really bad, I mean, there's beyond a point, I can have a generic response. So what we do, Rajesh, is we try to analyze our feedback on two parameters: controllable, not controllable. If it is not controllable, generally there are standard responses we have, right? So What is not controllable? Markets are not in your control. In our business, most of this is about markets or about, let's say, CAMS not doing this, Carby not doing this, aapka NAV nahi mila. These are the things which we get, right? So we try to create a 5-10 set of standard responses. So what happens the moment we get a question, we are able to respond to the question immediately. So out of, say, I'm sure you will also agree with me, and I'm sure the rest of the crowd will also agree, out of 10 responses, right? Out of 10 responses, 10 feedback, 6, 7 of them are going to be repeatable in nature. So if I'm able to think through this beforehand only, I will have a ready answer for the client. Right? Out of 10, maybe 2, 3, 4, I will not have an answer, something that I can get back in some time. Right? So these are, so I know I may not have answered the question exactly step-by-step manner, but the idea is to not, but there are 3 things only in this. Idea is not to take negative feedback personally at all, right? No matter how bad it is. Right? Number 2, differentiate between what you can do and what you cannot do. What is in your control, what is not in your control. If it is in your control, accept, acknowledge, move on. Frankly, I would like to thank the client. Say thank you for the negative feedback. Otherwise, how do I even improve? Right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.